Hi there. Welcome to Coming Home. I am your host, Dr. Onalee. It is my intention to help you come home to who God created you to be after being with narcissists. Today, I'm going to share some red flags to be aware of, some things that I have noticed in my previous relationships, and I'm going to share more on my last relationship with an avoidant. One of the things when you're dealing with an avoidant is realizing they are a type of narcissist. They are a selfish, self-centered kind of person. The problem is that sometimes they're trickier and harder to see and notice because they might not gaslight you. There may not be reactive abuse. There may not be these heightened arguments and fights. It's actually usually the opposite because they are avoiding. They are avoiding conflict. They are avoiding intimacy. They are avoiding love. And it was really hard for me to see it because this person also would call themselves an empath and they would go to therapy and they did these things that I felt a lot of narcissists don't do. Come to find out that his therapist is somebody he's been seeing for years and years. And sometimes they don't even talk about the things that are going on. It's just a place for them to meet each week and just shoot the shit. So not real therapy because if it was, he would not still be doing these kind of behaviors. And so some of the red flags I want to warn you of when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with an avoidant that you might be overlooking because they might be guilting you into thinking that these are okay. So learn from my mistakes, learn from my wisdom, and a lot of wisdom I've collected from working with thousands of people over the past 8 years on these kind of relationships. The number one red flag for me was when he blindsided me and all of a sudden started pulling away and getting distant right after I was sharing that I loved him and writing a note to him and saying that I only see a future with him, which were all things that he prompted and he had told me. He had talked about the ring and the wedding and all of these certain things. So then when I let my guard down and I leaned in and I let him in, he ran for the hills. Trust me. I never let that side out or really let them in until I feel like they have invited me. But this is a classic sign of an avoidant. They say these things, they say one thing, they lean in, they want the commitment, they want the intimacy, and then as soon as you reciprocate it, they run away from you. But the part here that is most alarming, like, sure, that could, sometimes make guys nervous, whatnot, but was the way that he handled it. He didn't know how to handle his emotions of what he felt. He got a weird gut feeling about it, but then he wouldn't communicate it to me. And instead of communicating it to me, he withdrew and he wouldn't reply to my message. He would take hours to respond. He wouldn't get on a phone call with me. He was talking to his friends about it over talking to me about it. And it was this feeling of leaving me hanging and not sure what just happened because the day before everything was good and just wrote that letter, dropped him lunch off, like all of these kind of things. We were about to go on a trip together and this happened. But the part that really hurt was seeing that this person was still active online and they were deliberately ignoring me. I remember that feeling of just feeling sick to my stomach, not knowing what was going on. And then that night, didn't hear from them. So still don't know what's going on, where this came from, what's happening in the morning. I had to call this person and they were okay with completing the relationship. And the part that triggered me personally the most was when they said, maybe you'll meet your soulmate in 2 weeks. It was very dismissive. It was very, I'm okay with or without you. And it was a amicable or polite ending, but it was really painful, really hurtful. This person that you feel like you love, they're just writing you off. To me, that was like the first big red flag in the relationship. But let me tell you something. So, all of this is whenever I share my stories or whenever I share wisdom to all of these podcasts, I want you to listen to the similarities, or that's my invitation for you if you want to, of the way that you feel, and then to go see how this can apply to your life. The red flags were there. After the second time we hung out, I didn't know personally that he was talking to somebody else. Apparently, they weren't in a relationship, so it's technically not a bad thing. But he started getting flaky on me and weird when we were supposed to hang out again. I remember he went a whole day not talking to me. And I always say, if a guy can go a whole day not talking to you, they're not that into you. And so I closed the door. But here's the thing with avoidance and narcissistic people, they are motivated by your absence or when you threaten or say that you're going to leave them or you're not interested. That is when they try to get their shit together and try to keep you. And so this person sent me a 2-minute voice note, which was the first time they ever even voice noted me, saying how busy they are with work and the season and they'll have more time later. And I even still said, I was like, you know what, that's great, but I'm just not interested. And he even said, are you interested in, seeing where this goes one day? Or what did he say? It was like, so this isn't going to be anything. And I said, nope, sorry. Moved on with my life. A month later, still tried to pursue me, wasn't interested. A month later, again, then tried to pursue me, and I was more open to it. But here's where it's my fault. I knew that this person was a flaky kind of person. They were able to go a day not talking to me. And you might think that that's, silly or whatnot, but I truly, men, you know it. Like if you're a man listening, if you're actually really into a woman, you're not too busy to talk to them. You're not going to be flaky on them with meeting up. Like you want to see them, you want to talk to them. And woman, we know, I got a sense he probably is talking to somebody. And that's usually, if a guy can do that, they're usually talking to somebody. Like something's going on there. But that was my first red flag. This person too had unfriended me on Facebook, tried to refriend me, unfriended me again, refriended me. Like, even as I say it out loud, right? Why? Why even give this person a chance? Because I fell for the sweet talking. I fell for their excuses. I fell for their justifications. I fell for their rationalizations. And it's very different when you talk to somebody in person and then you hear their perspective and their reasoning rather than what is just being presented in front of you. So the red flags were there, but within the relationship, the one that should have been the most alarming and kept the door closed was when I even said that I was done after the silent treatment and all of a sudden a turn out of nowhere. And so those are red flags to look towards. And sometimes I think we might hear, oh, men want to process things differently or they need some time. Well, that's fine, but they can communicate that. They can say that. I've never been with a man, maybe in college, like a pure 100% narcissist who treated me like complete dog shit. And that was probably what, 10 years ago? Nobody has treated me that way since that person in the name of leaving me hanging for that long and not communicating. I don't think that that is healthy. When you are in a relationship, you are meant to communicate. You are meant to talk about it. This person then, we closed the door. He tried to come back and he did come back and I let him come back and he did it again. And I remember I had gone to the gym with my friend and I told her, I was like, remind me how this feels because this is so painful. He had even said to me that don't disrespect my boundary. I'm going to need a few days. I don't know when I'm going to call you next, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. And we were trying to be in a relationship at this point. That is not how you operate in a relationship. And I hate to admit it, but I did give him another chance. Part of what I want to share with you is that I get it, what you're going through. How many times you ignore the red flags and you keep getting back with this person after they treat you like shit. I know what it's like. I've been in the middle of these kind of relationships. Trust me. And I still gave him another chance. That night he came over and apologized and explained his part. It's never okay to treat somebody like that. Leave them hanging when you're in a relationship and you need a few days and your partner then doesn't know when they're going to hear back from you. And all of a sudden it seems like your mind has changed about what you are. That's no emotional safety. And to me, it's just the full way that a narcissist or an avoidant person operates. What they do too is when you say that you're done. So I said many times I was done with this person. I gave them their stuff back. They came back and got their stuff. I had even blocked them. They reached out via a friend to have me reach back out to them, which is disrespecting boundaries, is it not? As he told me to not disrespect his. They want what they want when they want it, but they are not considerate of your feelings and how they've hurt you. They think that they can just work their way back in, and they usually can. Usually they attract people like me back then who would allow them to do this over and over again. So they get away with it over and over again. And then that trains them that they can treat you however they want and they can have their cake and they can eat it too. This is why you'll hear me say all the time, like a broken record, the way that we break a pattern is we are the ones to end it. You're only going to be done with a narcissist or an avoidant when you decide you're done because they're going to keep you hooked in this cycle. Why? Because they get something out of you. They don't want to lose you, but they don't want to step it up and be a man and treat you the way that they're meant to treat you. They don't want to rise into the standard that they claim that they do. When you challenge them or you invite them to really be a powerful man and be in integrity, they don't do it. Why? Because avoidants and narcissists are emotionally immature. They're children. They are not real men. They're not real women. They're little girls and little boys trapped in an adult body. I dated a 46-year-old who was literally so much more immature than me, the maturity of a 21-year-old. Age really doesn't matter. Trust me, I've dated all ages. Age doesn't matter. Emotional maturity does. Taking responsibility does. Taking accountability does. The traits that are different from a man versus a boy, an independent person versus somebody who's dependent on somebody else to take care of them and fix their problems. And that is what this person was. Very reliant on their friends, very reliant on their therapist, very reliant on their parents, very reliant on everyone outside of them. And then that's where they get validation from. And that's the problem, is that once you actually leave them, the one that they want to be with, the one that they love or care about, and then now you're not in their life because of them following guidance and direction from people outside of themselves or whatever they're feeling in the moment, they miss you. Avoidants are motivated by your absence, not your presence. So they're afraid to lose you. They don't want to not be without you. They're not okay when you're not there. But when they get you back, this is the problem, my friend, time and time again. It goes right back into it. They silent treatment you again. They ghost you again. They invite another woman into the picture again. You see them on the dating apps again. Again, again, again. I want you to hear this over and over again in your mind when you think about letting them back in. Again, again, again. How many times have you given them another chance? How many times have you forgiven them? The overall thing I want you to look at and listen from my story is, how do you feel with this person? For example, with that person, I eventually stopped trusting them. I didn't feel emotionally safe. I didn't know when they were going to turn, when they were going to change. I couldn't trust their word. I couldn't trust their behavior. And that is no place to be in a relationship. That's the point of a relationship. You're with somebody you trust. You can count on them. You can rely on them. You're committed to them. I started to then feel like an option. I started to not feel fully chosen. And I had done enough work at this point on myself to know that I had had these wounds. And so the way I had to break free from them was I had to stop trying to get him to choose me, to get to a point where I could trust him. I had to know my worth and to close that door and to move forward, even if I was attracted to this person. I had to choose myself. The way that we break a wound of not being chosen and not feeling enough is that you choose yourself. You put it out there to God, to the universe, that you'd rather be alone than be with somebody who makes you feel like an option. You'd rather be alone than with somebody that creates a lack of emotional safety and security within you. You'd rather be alone than somebody who makes you constantly doubt and question. One of the things in this relationship too was I constantly would get this feeling that this wasn't right. And there wasn't a full peace about it, and there wasn't a full joy or love about it. But my logic and the things he was feeding me about us getting married and being together, that would override what my body was saying. This is called the Coming Home podcast. And that is about coming home to the relationship with God, coming home to your body, healing your childhood wounds, the home you grew up in, and then being able to create a beautiful home with your soulmate so that you can raise your children if you want children and have a happy home life. There's so many different angles of what it means to come home. But to me, and what I want to really share about today, is that you are worthy. You're good enough. You should be first place, first pick, being with somebody who would never risk losing you. And if somebody's okay with losing you, my friend, that's the flag. Your husband, your wife, they're not going to be okay with losing you. They're just not. And I know you might be frustrated. You are frustrated. It feels like it's taking way longer for you. Look at any biblical story. They all took a freaking long time. They had to be patient. They had to wait. They had to endure. You're asking for big love. Many people don't actually ever in this lifetime experience big love because they settle. They wait. They get impatient. I'm basically a divorce coach. Let's just call it what it is. Almost all of my private clients, except for a few who have been with me for a while, they've all been divorced. And I always ask them about their history, their timeline. Every single one of them knew that this was not a correct relationship. And every single one of them, it was because of a certain clock, a milestone, where they're at in their life. Well, we dated for 4 years, so now it's time to get married. Well, we just graduated college, so now it's time to get married. Well, I haven't met anyone else in a long time, and now it's time to get married. My clock is ticking, so it's time to have kids. The logical brain is what convinces them to get married, and it's the exact then thing that gets them divorced. We're meant to have chemistry and we're meant to have compatibility. Most relationships, until it's with the one, have one or the other. You can't have just one or the other. With the avoidant in my life, we had compatibility, but we didn't have full on chemistry. And I knew that, but I wanted that. And it's a form of settling. And what I'm going to complete today's session on is that settling actually causes harm. Settling causes more fights, more arguments, dissatisfaction, bitterness, resentment. Settling prevents you from being open and available for your person. Settling prevents the person who's meant to be with the person you're settling for from finding them. Settling causes a negative impact on your health, your finances, your work. Settling negatively impacts you. It impacts them. It impacts everyone. My invitation is that you wait for the right one. And stop talking yourself into making it work. Stop painting those red flags green. Stop holding on for dear life when God keeps showing you the red flags. So if I was to take an inventory and go back, I would have stayed strong in my stance that before we even got into a relationship, to not go on a date with this person. I don't hold any regrets, and I'm so grateful I'm eventually out of it. Nothing but gratitude. I can use this wisdom and this discernment, and I can help you and pass along my wisdom and discernment so you don't have to go through this. It will take whatever it takes for you, but hopefully you can keep some of this in mind. I've never once regretted a breakup. There's not a single relationship in my life that I regret completing, whether they ended it or I ended it. So use your discernment, trust your gut, check in, wonder why you're listening to this too. Why has God led you here? And if you do resonate with this, which I'm assuming you do because you made it this far, I invite you to book a call. At the time of this recording, I don't know when you're watching it, so this might not be valid, but in real time right now, I am putting together a few free calls. This is where you can get on the phone with me. We're going to start with a meditation, and then we're going to go into your pattern with the avoidant or the narcissist. We're going to look at your wound. We're going to look at what keeps you ruminating. What keeps you letting them back in, even though you keep swearing that you want to be done? What keeps you in this marriage? What keeps you getting back with them, even though you filed for divorce? And if you're at the point too where you've been done, maybe you still think about this person, but you really want to be with your soulmate, these are who the call is for. I'm going to hold space for you for 30 minutes. I'm going to give you a few action steps to do after, but only book if you're a new client or a non-existing client right now, and you 100% can commit to being on the session. That would respect me, my schedule, my other clients, and other people who can't book. And so that's my little caveat, since it is a free call and these are normally $222. But if you trust yourself and you've been praying for support and guidance, this is the absolute best part of my business. I love the initial 30-minute call with you. So go ahead and click that link below. I look forward to talking to you, and I will be seeing you on Instagram at Dr.Onalee. Have a great day.